Good evening, everyone, and happy Thursday. Happy first day of December. Happy all of the things. I am so excited for how we're going to spend our evening. I truly can't think of a better way to kick off the first day in December. We're going to spend time with three authors talking about two of my favorite books of not only this year, or not only this holiday season, but truly of this year. We were really blessed with some great romance this year. So that's saying a lot. But I'm super excited. If you are watching from afar, welcome. If you are watching from next door in our romance book club, hi, I love you guys. And I can hear you through the wall. So it sounds like you all are doing great. We'll get right into it. We are going to bring our authors on. I'm going to tell you a little about them before we do that. Please, at any time this evening, if there is something we're talking about and you're like, skis, why are you not asking a follow-up question to that? Please throw that question into the chat. We want to hear it. We want to make this as interactive as possible, so don't hold back. All of that to say, our first author this evening is Sarah Hogle, who is a mom of three who enjoys trashy TV and provoking her husband for attention. Two of my favorite ways to spend time. Her dream is to live in a falling apart castle in a forest that is probably cursed. She is also the author of You Deserve Each Other and Twice Shy. Our other two authors I should hold up her book. Just Like Magic is the book that we're going to be talking most about this evening, but we can definitely talk about the other two. And then our other two incredible authors for this evening co-wrote a book together that we'll be talking about. Sierra Simone is a former librarian and a USA Today and Wall Street Journal bestselling author. Her notable works include Priest, American Queen, and Misadventures of a Curvy Girl. And her books have been featured in Marie Claire, Cosmopolitan, Entertainment Weekly, and BuzzFeed. She lives with her spouse and family in Kansas City. Shout out Missouri. Although I actually don't know if she lives on the Missouri side. So we might have to fact check me in a second there. Julia Murphy is a librarian turned #1 New York Times best-selling author of novels for all ages, including Dumplin', now a Netflix original film, Dear Sweet Pea, and If the Shoe Fits. Julie lives in North Texas with her spouse, who loves her dog, who adores her, and her cats, who tolerate her. Classic cat action. And we'll be talking about their book, A Merry Little Meet Cute. So please join me in welcoming Sarah, Sierra, and Julie. Hi, guys.
Hi. Hello.
Sierra, first of all, tell me, do you live on the Missouri side or are you a Kansas side?
I'm sad to say I do live in Kansas. I just had to be closer to, all the Wizard of Oz merch. But Missouri is on my birth certificate. So I was actually born in KC Mo on a hospital. I joke you not, on State Line Road. So, 100 feet into Missouri, but it still counts as on my birth certificate.
It counts. We're claiming you. I'm into it. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. Thank you all so much for being here with us on this Thursday evening. Happy first day of December. Does anybody do anything in particular holiday themed on December 1st?
Well, I will say this is the first year I've done Advent calendars for my kids. And it's been a lot of fun. The Advent calendar, when I was a kid, Advent calendars were not this exciting. It was maybe stale chocolate inside each window. But they have Dungeons and Dragons Advent calendars now. I got a makeup one for my daughter who's 12. The Advent calendar game has really evolved, I think.
I have an American Girl Doll Advent calendar that I'm using this year. And it pops up and the Christmas tree pops up out of the Advent calendar. And every day you get to open a different American Girl Doll ornament to put on your tree.
Oh my God, Julie, how have you not gotten this for your nieces yet?
I don't know.
Julie, we're running them on discount right now. I can send them to you.
Oh my God, please, seriously. Also, I have a Dolly Parton chocolate Advent calendar this year, and I haven't opened it yet, but I'm pumped.
Wow. Yeah. I almost want to make you open it on live stream. Maybe at the end. I want to know what a Dolly Parton chocolate looks like.
Yeah. I'll have to.
Sarah, do you have an Advent calendar at all?
No, December 1st, though, is when it becomes acceptable to listen to Christmas music in my house. So that's what I've been doing today.
There was a big fight at the store over whether we were allowed to play Christmas music on November 1st or Black Friday or December 1st. It was, I feel like that's a really, what?
Who won?
Oh, who won? November 1st did not win, but it came up sooner than Black Friday, because someone made the argument of like our holiday shop opened like November 15th or something. And they were like, you can't have a holiday shop and tell me I can't play like holiday music. And that was a fair argument. So our owner like ceded that battle, but it was always, so I agree with you, Sarah. I've been a hardcore, you can't listen to holiday music until December 1st. That was like the household I grew up in. So
you got to save it and then it feels more special.
That's true. Then you don't get sick of it by December.
Yeah.
Okay, enough of random. Wow. Okay, actually, people writing in. Let's see. I knew this was going to be controversial. Someone's a November 1st girly. That's what they're saying in the comments. I respect it, right?
My husband's whole personality is whatever holiday it currently is. So there's like no rules. Like the man bought like a $70 elf costume this year. So like elf, like movie quality film. Yeah.
Yeah. Has he read Just Like Magic? I feel like he could have like a really good time.
He should.
I think Julie's husband is Hall. Like he is the spirit of holiday. Like he is the holiday spirit, just embodied with a beard.
I love that. I will say, Sarah, you, both of you, but let's start with you, or all three of you. But Sarah, let's start with you. I feel like you gave indie booksellers like the easiest hand sell in the world, because all I do is tell people like, okay, so you have like, I've been comparing our main character kind of to like Alexis from Schitt's Creek. But I was like, you kind of have like Alexis from Schitt's Creek, and then she accidentally like spills wine in like the record, Mariah Carey's Christmas album spins backwards and it conjures the holiday spirit. And like, that's all I have to say. And people are like, yeah, I'm going to read that. So that's like the short pitch for your book. But do you want to tell us anything else about Just Like Magic in case anybody watching is not familiar with this one yet, although they should be?
Okay. Well, in Just Like Magic, main character Betty Hughes is down on her luck. She comes from a wealthy family and she's a failed social media influencer. She's just been pretending that she's rich, but she's squatting in a house in Colorado. And she's feeling sorry for herself because Christmas is coming up and she can't afford to buy nice gifts for her family. So one night when she's wallowing, she plays Mariah Carey's album, All I Want for Christmas Is You, backwards. And it conjures the holiday spirit, Hall. And his purpose, he feels, is to fill her with the holiday spirit until she gets like enough of her own, and then he'll go like back into the atmosphere. But then they kind of start to develop feelings for each other. And then like she doesn't want to become better because that means that he'll have to go.
Oh.
Sorry. It's like really getting me back in my feelings about this book. Just what a delightful book you have given us. Julie, do you want to take this time to point out to the people that you have ice skating earrings on in honor?
Or my little ice skating earrings in honor of Sarah's cover. Appreciate. Thank you.
I love it.
Incredible. And Julie and Sarah, y'all also have given us the easiest hand sell, because really, I think that I heard Cassie the other day even just say like, we have both of our main characters are bisexual. One is a bad boy, former boy bander, and or alleged bad boy, I guess we might have said. And then our main character is a porn star who is basically making a movie for Hallmark. And people are like, I'm in. That sounds incredible. I've also think we've thrown in like, it is incredibly spicy. Have a good time. And the feedback from people has been that they're having a good time. But what else do people need to know about the book that you all wrote together, A Merry Little Meet Cute?
Oh, God.
I don't know. What else do we need to know?
I mean,
there's a porn star in it.
Yeah. So basically, we started out with this idea that the movie production quality of made-for-TV Christmas movies was maybe not so different from the production quality of other kinds of videos that one might watch by yourself at night with a tub of ice cream. And so we decided that we were going to sort of play a little game of what if. And what if our adult film star got sort of semi-accidentally cast via this hapless producer in this wholesome Christmas movie. But of course, no one on set can know like her day job or her night job. Anyway, no one can know what she really does. And so she gets to set, determined to keep her identity under wraps. And then one person does know who she is, and that is her co-star, who just happens to be her biggest fan. So yeah, and that's like in the first chapter, like, oh boy, what are we going to do? And so they have had, like, she's had a crush on him from her teenage boy band days. He's a fan of hers. And so things get, spicy pretty quickly.
They really do.
Mhm.
Julie, do you have anything that you need to add about?
Just that this was my first spicy book, and I can't imagine a better shepherd than Reverend Sierra Simone to guide my hand.
Yeah, I corrupted her. She was pure.
I
as the
made you
heaven
write a
knows
funny
how
book,
she met me.
okay? It's funny and it has heartwarming feelings. So who really won?
That's true.
Yeah.
You did coax me into writing a happy book, which no one has ever done. Sierra Simone does not typically. I usually write the angsty stuff, but this one's a happy one.
Yeah,
And it's all Julie's fault.
it is.
Just full of joy. I'm so glad you actually brought that up, Julie, because I was going to ask you about this of that you traditionally have not written spicy.
Mhm.
And obviously then we went from like kind of 0 to 60
Right.
on our spice factor. And so what was that? Was that like, what came first? Y'all deciding to like write a book, or are you like, Sierra, I'm going to get into spice. Let's do it. How did that work for you guys?
We've been best friends for, I always get the number wrong. Is it 8 or 9 years? 9 years.
8 years.
8 years. Numbers. Time. A long length of time is how long we've been friends for. And we've always talked about writing together, and we always knew that if we were going to blend our two brands, it would have to be like a serious compromise. That said, I'm a really adventurous reader, and I actually read a lot of romance and a lot of high heat romance. So while it's probably a little shocking for my readers, it wasn't like shocking for me. Like, it was really exciting to finally get to do this. And it's something I've been talking about wanting to do for a long time. Sierra in her life has never said she wanted to write a happy book, but 2020, I think, brought her to like the brink of desperation, and we had a lot of fun doing it. So
Yeah. And that was, I will say, like, Julie was the one who got me into Christmas movies. And that was one of the first things that I noticed about them, was just how like happy and comforting they were, that like there was something about turning one on and just knowing that the stakes were so low and that everything was going to be okay. And like the baseline of happiness was there. And no matter how many plot holes there were, no matter how silly things got, like everyone was watching this just to have a little moment of joy. And it kind of made me feel like, oh, like I should do books like that. That would be fun.
Well, and the reason I wanted to bring this up too is because that's kind of where like there's this nice little Venn diagram for you all of like, Sarah, your books do not traditionally have a lot of spice in them either. You bring us a lot of the happy and the warm and all of these like deep emotions. And so like it's amazing. I guess my question about that, and like Julie, you can follow up on this too, is how do you create tension between your characters and get us this love story that doesn't require the spice to get us there? Like they have their whole romance arc kind of more behind the scenes. What is that like for you to create those characters and create that story arc, I guess?
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Sarah. You can go first there. Yeah.
I think for me, because I love a good slow burn, like smaller things they feel a little bit bigger. So like by the time they finally brush hands or something like that, it feels a little bit bigger because I'm not doing quite as much of the spice yet. Like I may try some of that in the future, but for Just Like Magic especially, it just felt a little bit wrong. I don't know if anybody wants to see Hall with his pants off. I don't know, but
Julie's like, I will absolutely. Julie, and I guess specifically what I was thinking you could speak to too is like the difference in those writing experiences. Did you and I didn't know who wrote what between you and Sierra of like, did you write some of those spicy scenes? Were those like full on collab, or what was that difference between going from this non-spicy environment to the spicy environment for your characters?
So specifically for this book, we split it up by points of view. And so because I am a children's author, I felt really comfortable writing the adult film star B. But then in all like honesty, because our ex-boy band teenage like heartthrob boy from a decade ago was very angsty, it was very much like the Sierra character to write. We did tap in and out of each other's chapters quite a bit, whether it was usually like I would jump in and like add in some dialogue or some funny things. Though Sierra, no one really understands how funny she is. She's absolutely hilarious. And she's really smart too. So it's kind of completely unfair. And she's pretty, and it's just like all the feelings you have about your best friend. Whatever. Go eat a dick. I was inappropriate. I'm so sorry. Anyways, so she would pop into my chapters. I would have like a 911 Dr. Spice. Let's call Sierra in to help me out with some of these chapters because it was my very first time writing like completely wide open door sex scenes. So it was definitely a little intimidating. I think I took for granted how like absolutely vulnerable it would feel to have to write a sex scene because it was kind of like telling the whole world what you think is hot and sexy. And I didn't think about that in advance, but it was a lot of fun. And I have to say that I have now gotten my sex scene wings, and I wrote a scene that supposedly made Sierra Simone blush in our next book, which was very exciting.
Yeah.
But in general, I feel like when we were first writing this book, if we ever had a question about like where should we go next, I was like, they should talk, and Sierra was like, they should bone, and so we just did both.
Oh my gosh, incredible. I have lots of follow-up questions. I do want to take a moment to say that Sarah, I'm hearing from the romance book club room, at least at large, that they all are agreeing to be beta testers. If you want to just throw out like a chapter where Hall takes his pants off, they would love to just like review that for you and give you some feedback. If you're ever just like feeling like you want to test the waters, but you don't want to open it up to the whole world, like 70 people over there very into being your beta readers.
What noble volunteers. I mean, talk about like an act of service, just of, duty.
Like, I'm now imagining, Sarah, that you give us like a December 25th, like little like chapter drop of like Merry Christmas morning. Here's all of his pants off.
No pressure, but also pressure.
I guess where I want to go next is that, Sarah, I also think something that really stood out to me about Just Like Magic, and really I think is a commonality between some of your books. Sorry, someone just commented, I wanted Hall to take me to the candy shop.
Fantastic.
Good job, Erin.
I'll have to come up with like a bonus scene.
It'd be incredible. But Sarah, I think something that you do so well is that we all know like the world is harsher on women, and in many ways, and I think particularly like you gave us a semi-unlikable character in Just Like Magic, but I'm immediately still drawn to her. Like I'm very like I was like, you're this influencer who is making all of these interesting like choices. We're getting some like real like serious inner dialogue about how you feel about your family. It's all very relatable. I'm having a great time reading this. And I just think that's a special skill set that you have to really balance it so well, where you give us what I would consider like not necessarily always our traditional like female lead. And you still are very much, as a reader, at least my experience was really rooting for her and wanting that love story for her and just being totally invested in her as a character. And so my question to you is like, how do you balance that? Or are you like shocked to even think that I might think she's like a little bit potentially unlikable? You're like, what are you talking about? I loved her from the beginning. How can you say such a thing about her?
I love characters who are a little bit delusional and have maybe some bad impulses that they just follow because it's so much fun to write. Like when I in favorite television shows, like my favorite ones are always the ones who are like Michael Scott from The Office. Like he makes really bad decisions, and that's what's fun. I think with Betty, like I definitely wanted her to be unlikable at the beginning, because then I get to do this arc of she develops a conscience a little bit, and she starts to maybe not be so selfish and to think of others. And Paul pushes that because she really likes him because he's so pure and good, and she wants his experience with Christmas to be better. She was just thinking about herself and her wanting to be miserable, I guess. But she wants to give a better time for him, so she becomes a little bit better. I don't know if I'm making any sense.
Oh, you're making complete sense.
Yeah. She's definitely an unlikable heroine, and I love unlikable heroines.
And I think that translates because you do it so well. Like, I do think that it's wild to talk to people about this book and like just, I mean, that's why I compare it to Alexis from Schitt's Creek when I'm like trying to hand sell it to somebody, because I feel like we identify that like everyone, including Moira, if anybody, I don't know if all of you have seen Schitt's Creek, so sorry if I'm like not making sense, but that's like the first thing that comes to mind of like a family where like I watched that first episode and I was like, I don't know that I'm gonna like this show. Like I don't relate to these characters at all. They're very like intriguing in their choices, and then you get so committed to them. So no, that makes complete sense. For Julie and Sierra, I don't know who wants to take this first, but I think something that has been like a lot of discussion around A Merry Little Meet Cute. I know it's been talked about in our kind of like Facebook group and our group meet, is the amount of different and like really great representation that you've given us in A Merry Little Meet Cute. And I'm assuming that was pretty intentional. But I was wondering if you could speak to that and how you balanced, you also give us all of this chaos and like very funny moments, but you also give us a lot of real moments too. Like specifically, I'm thinking of one example of like we were talking about bipolar representation with his mom. And so how did you all balance that? How did you even go into that of like, did you always know that all of these different components you wanted to be a part of it, or did they kind of get added in as you were writing?
Do you want to go first?
Pretty girl talk, go.
I would say that I really think that as a writer and as a creator, what matters the most to cultivate is sort of your lens in which you view the world. I was on a panel once with Adriana Herrera, and she kind of talked about this, and then I was like, oh my God, you're so smart, I'm stealing this. But this sort of idea that as a creator, if you intentionally shape your lens, right, then all the stories that kind of emerge from you are going to necessarily reflect that lens. So if your lens is a lens that gives dignity to all the characters in the story, like if that's your approach, if that's what matters to you, then you're going to end up writing stories where dignity is repeatedly given to characters. And so I think Julie and I have both found that we really want to have a new starting place for lots of different kinds of stories. So a new starting place for a bisexual story, a new starting place for a story with mental health elements, that like all those kind of characters, they deserve campy Christmas chaos too. And I think especially this is true with, and Julie can speak more to this, with the character of Bea, where her story isn't one that's like a journey to self-acceptance. Like Bea arrives on page 1, like, yeah, I'm hot and I make money because I'm hot. And like, that is like, I have the body I have and I love the body I have. And that's where she starts. And the hero is like there for it, And so that's where the story starts. And so there's not sort of, an issue. It's not like an issue book in that sense, where the main thrust of the book is like working through having these things. It's like, no, everyone gets to have campy Christmas madness, like everyone else does.
And we love books, like we love those issue books. We love those books where like someone discovers that they love themselves through like the love of the people around them or things like that. But it's also like, we just wanted to write a silly, happy book where people could come to it with whatever issues or like, identities they might have in their own life and just perfectly see themselves in a happily ever after. So there were definitely things from like our own lives that we took and implemented. Like we're both 100% bisexual disasters, and we love how completely buy B and Nolan both are. Like they both would gladly just hook up with everyone as long as they get to do it together, you know, like a real team effort. And then like, so like Nolan's mom is, and you should talk more about this in a second too, Sierra, but Nolan's mom is bipolar, and that's a personal experience to Sierra growing up with a bipolar mother. And as far as like writing a fat main character, like this is it's something that's become like a hallmark of my own work and something that's deeply important to me. And I've been waiting for a really long time to get to talk about fatness and conversation with embracing your sexuality in a really powerful way. I think in the world of sex work, fat women can be easily fetishized, but B really owns herself and creates the lens through which the rest of the world views her, because she does traditional porn, but she also does like, you know, in our book, it's called Closed Doors, but essentially like OnlyFans, where she completely gets to decide how she is portrayed to the world and how she interacts with her fans. And I was really excited to get to explore something like that. And also Sierra is so incredibly smart when it comes to sex and intellect that like, if I was going to do this with anyone, I knew it was going to be with her. So yeah.
You're so smart and pretty.
I think we're in a really pretty smart group tonight is the thing. Like just like this whole like foursome right here. We're really hot and pretty.
Yeah, backstage before this started, we were all telling each other how pretty we were. It was really great. I'm gonna just have Stephanie and Sarah show up to my house every day and like give me like a pep talk, you know, like before I get started writing.
Perfect.
Gladly will do that. Happy to volunteer. Julie, you said, Sierra, do you want to speak any more
Yes,
to
she does.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, here's what I will say is that you know, I really, when we were writing this book, you know, like I said, because we kind of have this sort of lens when we're creating, there's a lot of decisions that I wouldn't say it's like intentional to sit down and be like, well, let's make sure that, you know, 75% of the cast is LGBTQ. Like that wasn't like necessarily the conversation, or let's make sure this many characters are plus size. It kind of came naturally. But I do think one of the things, in addition to making sure that all the characters, you know, had lots of dignity, was that we wanted the plot twist to sort of be that these characters are trying to be the best versions of themselves. So you mentioned Schitt's Creek earlier, shows like that, and like Ted Lasso, where people just continue to be the best versions of themselves. Like that's the surprise. And so we didn't really want like a deep wound or an antagonist or something that was like really bringing a lot of like heaviness to the story. Like instead we wanted the only villains to be this one like paparazzi reporter and then the American healthcare system. And that's like the real villain, is that like prescription medicine, like essential medicine, is too expensive to afford. And that is why Nolan is doing what he's doing. And so I wanted to be really clear, like with his mother, that like the struggle, if you want to call it that, is not that he has a mother who has bipolar disorder. The struggle is that getting the support that makes their lives, you know, less full of friction, is that, you know, it takes money. And so like, you know, healthcare and capitalism is like what's really dragging us down.
Well, that's so true. Yes, people, Maddie in the comments is saying that, speaking to you, saying the healthcare system, she said the villain in all of our lives.
Yeah.
So lots of agreement about capitalism and the American healthcare system. Thank you so much for speaking to that. I'm really excited. We're doing, sorry to anybody who's watching us from afar. We do have a romance book club if you are in St. Louis. And so I'm really excited to dig into more of that, we are doing a discussion after this with our book club, and I'm excited to dig into more about what you guys said, because I know people were excited to hear more about that. I do want to slightly shift to other content that is a commonality. Again, the Venn diagram between these two books of like, y'all made me laugh so hard. Like I was just like, these three are so hilarious. And I just was looking forward to this tonight so much, because I knew I would smile and laugh so much this evening too. Of like, Sarah, I think the first thing I laughed a ton in your book, and I'm sure I laughed before this, but I distinctly remember that I like put the book down to text somebody about how funny it was. Of like, I think this is early enough on that I apologize. I'm pretty sure everybody, this is not a spoiler if you have not finished or read Just Like Magic yet. But when she takes Hall home with her, I was like, oh, you're giving me a fake dating trope too. And there's a whole chapter where she just makes him keep taking her back so they can redo the entrance to her family. And I could not stop laughing. Like, I think at one point, right, she makes him like track down the vest for her from like Bill and Ted's like excellent adventure, of just like the amount of like, I felt like you give me so many like, they were not cheap laughs by any means. You were giving me like great quality content for me to be like, what is Sarah's brain like? And so I do want to know, like, you probably honestly would be like, I don't know, this is what I think. But like, how did you come up with some of that content and like all of these like hilarious references that you gave us? Or like, if you want to speak to that chapter in particular of just like, I literally was just like laughing so hard at them redoing the entrance until she finally decided that like, they had the right one, because I was like, girly, no. But like, obviously she makes questionable decisions. So where do you get your sense of humor from? How do you find inspiration for all of these things?
Oh my goodness. Well, with that chapter, I think what happened was I would write a scene and I would be like, no, wait, I can do better. So it's like, but I didn't want to get rid of that. So I just kept going. So I was like, no, scratch that, but we're going to leave that in there. We're going to do this now. And then they end up with like the carriage from Shrek. So when I'm sitting down to write something like that, it's just trying to have a really good time, I guess, and just make myself laugh. And that's just doing something really ridiculous. And I'm still really surprised that my publisher bought this book. Like, I did not think that they would, because there's so much in here that's just like, what?
I am not surprised. I mean, I'm glad they bought it, and they should know that this is like, we desire this kind of content. What was like your editor's first reaction? Like, were you like, listen, I know this is like Schitt's Creek meets like Elf or whatever. Like, were they like, okay, I'll check it out? Or like, were they immediately like, yeah, I want to read that?
I don't know, because that conversation is between my agent and my editor.
Okay.
So by the time I talked to her, she seemed pretty on board with it. But when I brought it up to my agent, because I was between agents.
Okay.
So my first conversation with her, I was like, this is a book that I want to write. And I had the premise, but I don't think I had written it yet. Okay. And I said, I want to write about a woman who plays a record backwards and conjures the holiday spirit. And she just, okay. I could hear her processing it, and she was really supportive. But I was surprised. I didn't think that I can't believe it's,
Can't believe it's in front of you. Like, fully bound.
It still feels surreal that they let me publish this. That's really cool.
Again, I distinctly remember sitting down of like, I had not read it yet, but a very trusted friend of mine had read an early copy, and we sat down with our sales rep, and he was like, you really put a lot of these on order. And I was like, yes, my friend read it, and she's already told me that once I read it, it will be like our hand sell of the season. And like, so I'm just investing in this in the front end. And he was like, great, this is awesome. Before I go back to A Merry Little Meet Cute, I do want to ask you one follow-up question on that of like, where did the premise come from? Like, how did you come up with such a ridiculous, were you just like thinking of like, what's the most ridiculous thing I could do? Or like, yeah, how did it originate, I guess, is really the question.
I was half asleep, and I got up one morning, and I just sat up in bed, and I thought, she conjures the holiday spirit. I don't know where it came from. Like, maybe I had a dream, and like part of it trickled through subconsciously. I knew that she wanted to conjure it, and then my mind went to Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven. And the mythology with that, like if you play it backwards, you like talks about the devil or something like that. I love Satan. So I thought, well, we need to involve music in some way. So we spin it backwards. And if you use Mariah Carey, because she's the Queen of Christmas, then you will get the holiday spirit naturally.
Incredible. From start to finish, what a, again, great premise. Okay, A Merry Little Meet Cute. I want to know, like, I guess too, how did you decide that the first book that you all were going to write together was going to be a holiday book, especially if you were thinking about writing something together for many years? Why did we land on holiday?
So the very short version of a slightly longer story is that we have a lot of great writer friends who get up at like 5 a.m. on writing retreats and do like yoga and set goals and rescue a kitten and eat like, I don't know, Ezekiel toast, like stuff like that. And
by the way, Megan Bannon is one of those like 5 a.m. healthy authors.
Yes.
So we love them. They're just early birds.
We just can't be them. And so Sierra and I on these retreats will roll out of bed at like 11 o'clock, like teenage boys, just like looking for Pop-Tarts or like lunch meat, you know? And so we're just real trash pandas when it comes to like day-to-day life. And so we started having like our own back channel writing retreats where it was just the two of us and we would be trash panda vampires and write until like 1 or 2 in the morning and then sleep all day and then reward ourselves with pie every night. And so the only time of year that we had available was during Christmas time. And so we would go on these retreats like 2 weeks before Christmas, and these cabins that we would rent always had, like, as Sierra says, the finest holiday decorations TJ Maxx can offer. And so we just found ourselves, like, as we were eating pie every night, watching these Hallmark Christmas movies and also partaking in like the new array of like Netflix Christmas movies. And we were just inspired by the many Vanessa Hudgens, I guess, and knew that this was it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I actually think it was a Hallmark original that we were watching, and it was a situation where we had like gone to go get more pie from the kitchen or something, and it had taken a minute to get back to our pie place, and it was a different movie, but we hadn't noticed.
Yes. It was like same costume pieces and same people in the movies, but like suddenly the love interest was like the best friend, and we were just incredibly confused, but we knew it was like all the same people in the same setting and everything.
Oh my God. I do want to briefly interrupt for 2 questions. One, Sarah, quick take. Are you a trash panda or a 5 a.m. yoga retreater?
I could not get up at 5 a.m. Like, I feel like if I wrote anything at 5 a.m., it would just be garbage. It would be no good at all. I write in a blur for like a month from the time that I get up to the time I go to bed, just every minute that I can. So more trash panda, I guess.
You have like a trash panda season, I see.
Yeah,
like
I do.
Like, yeah, just
and when I'm done with the book, like, my house is a wreck. I just dropped all my responsibilities to write the book.
Yeah.
It is definitely trash season.
Yeah,
like
my
that.
pharmacist will be like, you haven't picked up your medication in like 6 months. Are you alive? And I'm like, I'm fine. I'm writing a book.
I know someone who works with authors as kind of like an author writing coach. But anyway, her name's Becca Simon. She talks about this as being like a phoenix, which is nicer than trash panda. And so like a phoenix, you burn really bright, really hot, really fast, and then you're just ashes afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
That does sound a little bit more majestic than a trash panda.
Yeah,
but
it's magical.
Yeah.
Trash pandas are cute.
They're so cute. Okay, great. Second hot take interlude. I was saving something for December 1st, and that something was the Lindsay Lohan movie. I honestly don't remember the name of this movie, but the new one. Though I think the only Lindsay Lohan we've had recently, to be honest. And I'm just wondering, have either of any of you watched the new Lindsay one?
We have actually been saving it because next week Julia's coming to Kansas City, and then together we'll go to St. Louis. And so we're going to be together. So we have been saving it for when we can watch it together. I have also heard that it requires a doula of sorts. Let's just say that it's the kind of movie that's hard to get through on your own. So you kind of need a friend to help doula you through the movie.
Yeah. You need like commentary.
Yeah.
That's exciting. I want to watch it now.
Yeah.
Do you have a doula?
You're a Christmas movie doula.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with you. I don't want to give any spoilers. I'll allow for some hot takes in the comment section if anyone wants to drop that. I didn't have a doula per se, but I built 2 new nightstands for my Black Friday shopping situation that arrived at my home, and it was like great background. It was nice to not always have to watch them try to act, if that.
Yes, I think some art does not want our full attention. Like, it's not better for our full attention. So that happens sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to say one more Christmas movie thing. My husband and I both watch like random movies throughout the week during lunch hour because he also works from home. And we've been watching one on Hulu that came out this year called No Sleep Till Christmas. And I just want everyone to go out there and watch this movie and tell me that in the last 10 minutes you did not possibly think that the 2 love interests were actually brother and sister. Like something happened and I thought that was the twist, and it wasn't. And I was deeply disappointed. That says a lot about me, and maybe I should put that back in my mouth. Anyways, I can't. It's out there now. So anyways, No Sleep Till Christmas. Go watch it. Send me an Instagram DM.
I just like it's like flowers in the attic, but like Christmas decorations in the attic.
Yeah.
Incredible. Wow. I really feel like that's perfect. I needed to know where to go after today because it did I had a good time. And I also still was like, I hated this movie and I'm crying. Like, I still cried at the end when they got together. And I was like, this is so embarrassing. Like, I don't even want her to marry Cord Overstreet. Like, I don't believe in this. Like, and I feel that anybody who says that's a spoiler, that's that. We all know that is how it is.
You know where it's going.
Okay, great. I would love, we can move off of that now. Although, I will say, yes, I agree with you, Maura. Princess Switch is an instant classic. And that is, yeah, we can love that. Okay. I did want to know, Julie and Sierra, of like, I don't know if you remember, but like 10 minutes ago before I went off track, we were talking about things that were funny about both of your books. And A Merry Little Meet Cute was also so funny. There were so many laugh out loud moments. There was a lot of chaos, right? It just all like incredible stuff happening. I am wondering of like, and it's okay if you don't have a specific memory, but I was wondering if like, because you 2 were writing and sharing with each other, like if you remember a scene that you wrote of each other's that really made you like laugh out loud that you could speak to, or if not, you can just speak to maybe something that you thought about, one of your favorite like funny moments in the book.
I think that
go ahead.
Okay. I'm going to shower you with love first. Okay. I think that the moment I read the very first chapter with Teddy Ray Fletcher and found out it was set in a Chili's in an airport, like I knew that we could write books together forever for the rest of our lives and be totally fine. Because like truly, correct me if I'm wrong, Sierra, I don't think there's anyone in our lives who makes us laugh as hard as we do. And sometimes that can be like the recipe for like the worst best friends to like hang out with, like for outsiders, and we get that. But I think that what makes the book so fun is that like it's just full of inside jokes that were never inside jokes to begin with, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah,
it's
like
just
they have the feeling of inside jokes, but
yeah, like
it's not like they are.
What's not funny about a Chili's at an airport? But also, I love a Chili's at an airport. You know. So, okay, your turn, Sierra.
I was gonna say that I think there are 2 things that really stood out to me, and one like that I remember you wrote, and then I was like, you were the funniest person I've ever met. I don't know why, Pete, you don't have a deal with like streaming Peacock like sitcoms. And that it was the first time there is this other porn star named Jack Hart who calls B, and they have this FaceTime conversation, and it's just so funny and so specific to these characters that you can just hear their voices. And then you learn that some of these characters are on their way to a strip club out of town. And everything in this town in Christmas Notch, Vermont is Christmas themed, because in Christmas Notch, it's Christmas every day of the year. And that means all the restaurants and shops are Christmas themed, but it also means the strip club is Christmas themed. And that strip club is called the North Pole. And so these characters are on their way to the North Pole. And then you get there and it's just everything you would want from a place called the North Pole. It is the funniest. It's like the best setting. And it's just such an illustration of everything you do great, where you're like, everything about this is funny. The setting is funny. The characters in the background are funny. Like our main characters are being funny.
I have to say that in the North Pole, in the setting of the North Pole, we decided that the appetizers would be half off during like specific hours, and our editor, who's from New York City, was just baffled and amazed by the fact that like this strip club has half off appetizers, because I guess she's never been to like an Applebee's or something. I don't know, but it's just she just thought it was the funniest thing. Like the one thing that she held on to in the book, she's like, and those half off appetizers.
I mean, there's not often where I'm like, wow, I'm really from the Midwest, but it's one of those moments where I'm like, yeah, like half off apps, like, yeah, of course. And it blew her mind, because I'm sure appetizers in New York City are like $40 always. So
Yeah.
That's gonna live like rent free in my head for like a second. Like I think that I will now also find that also to be very funny. Like
yeah, but also next time you go to a restaurant and your mozzarella sticks are only $4.95, like just give a little prayer of thanks, like that we live in the breadbasket where things are cheap.
Also, can we all appreciate that I just realized I don't know how parentheses work when I tried to type in my pronouns?
I saw that, but I wasn't
I
going to
knew
say
you
anything because I thought maybe it was like a stylistic choice.
Oh,
It's fancy.
yeah.
it is. Yeah. Honestly, you're a trendsetter and we missed out on it. Like,
Yeah. The thing is, if Sierra Simone could have edited it and fixed it, she would have.
I would
Because
have.
that's how we do. She's the one that goes and edits everything.
Look, now we match.
Makes the gram. Oh, thank you. Oh, you can edit it. Well, I'm not going to because it's trending now.
There we go.
Stephanie got it. There we go.
Sarah just beat me to it. I was like really worried that in trying to fix this, I would accidentally end the whole stream. So I was really careful.
Well, we're done for the night.
All I could picture was like, oh, Stephanie ended the stream just trying to make a tiny little joke and ruined it for everybody. Okay, I will say, everyone watching, I can keep going with questions. Please feel free to drop any questions that you have in the chat, because otherwise I'm just gonna own this whole thing, and that's what. Oh wow, Sarah!
Cleavage.
Oh, look at that!
Wow, that's like butts bumping. I should have just made mine like spell out like calculator boobs. That should just. Oh, virtual events have broken me. Anyone else? No, this is great. We're having fun.
Broken, you have made everything better. Okay. Ooh, I'm gonna collect myself there for a second. Oh, okay. One of my questions that I had, because I just imagined that there's a lot of, just based off of again how funny and wild both of these books are. Open to all three of you, whoever wants to answer first. But I was wondering like the biggest random like research hole you went down that was like most surprising or hilarious. Sarah's like, no, I can't.
I'm gonna have to think of a different one.
I want to know whatever it is that you just thought about.
Yeah.
Exactly, Sarah. I totally agree with you.
So Research Hole is Sierra Simone's stage name, Research Hole. I think we can say it, right? We just have to say what we found out that it meant, right?
No, I mean, I don't even think we should say the words.
Say it.
I think it's fine. There are no words that would get our movie rated R. They're just words, and if you put them together, they mean things.
Okay, yeah, the separate words. Well, I have a dive bar not too far away from my house called the Dirty Nickel or something like that. And I was like, that's a wonderful dive bar name because it's kind of gross. And so we're in this, this town where it's like, there's skiing resorts all around. It's Christmas all the time. What if I call something the Dirty Snowball? And so we were like, that's hilarious. We're so clever. Dirty Snowball. That's a great dive bar name. And then we were on a writing retreat. Sarah, your kids aren't in the room, are they?
No, but I hear something going on upstairs. I don't know what I'm going to find when I get done with this.
They just found out. we were on a writing retreat with with a group of authors, the 5 a.m. people. And one of the 5 a.m. people, he was telling us like, well, you can't put that word in your book. And I was like, too late. Like we already had someone draw a map for us.
Yeah.
And he was like, you can't. And I was like, I know better than you. And I say we can. But then as we got to copy edits, I was like, it's just still in my head. We should figure out if what he said about the Dirty Snowball is really what the internet says. And so we had to go into the depths of Urban Dictionary. And we found out that indeed it was what he said. No one Google this. If you do it under incognito.
Don't do this on a work computer, please.
Don't do this on a work computer. Don't, maybe have like some holy water nearby. I don't know. But like we did find out that it was a very, very dirty thing.
Well, and I think the worst part of the story is that we kept the name.
I was like, wait, did I miss something? Like, is that?
We know exactly what it means. And we were like, yeah, let's keep the bar name the Dirty Snowball.
My favorite part is when I was in the car, Julie and I were trying to figure this out, like copy edits are due the next day. And so I'm on the phone, it's like an Aaron Sorkin scene. And Julie's like, I'm doing the research. And here's what I found. And so she reads one definition out loud to me and I repeat it back to her. I'm like, so you're saying that the Dirty Snowball could just be this? And I'm in the car next to my husband and my husband says, no, that's just a snowball, honey. And then I was like, how do you know?
So there you go. Right on the mantle. Now you have to Google Dirty Snowball.
No one should Google it.
It's already been done, and someone's already texted me the answer in real time.
Well, there you go.
Julie pressured me into telling the story. I just gotta say.
Yeah, for the record. Yeah, totally Julie's fault.
Yeah,
it's
completely my fault. It's in the book. It's fine.
I'm thrilled. I think everyone's honestly, what a great moment, and truly what I hoped for when I asked this question. I
hope the Library of Congress keeps record of like our chats or something, so that one day when we're completely dead, someone can read about the discovery of the Dirty Snowball.
Yeah,
that's lovely.
That's all I want is for some grad student out there to have to do some sort of thesis on romance books of like the early 2020s, and then they have to comb through a transcript like this and then write their thesis about the kinds of research that we did.
Those are our goals.
They're like, on December 1st there was a wild spike in people Googling this term. Like, what caused this, specifically in the Midwest, what caused St. Louis to get very excited about this term all of a sudden? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Someone just said Dirty Snowball is a spicy game of hot potato.
Yeah, that's a way you could describe it.
That's something.
Something for sure. Julie, do you have anything else that sticks in your brain as an interesting rabbit hole you went down research-wise?
I like to jump first and then fix all my mistakes later. So usually I'll just write about something and then I'll be like, Sierra, can you make sure that that's real? Which is hilarious because we're both former librarians, but it only stuck with her. I don't know. Was there I think
we should mention Nisha.
Oh, yes. Okay, so Nisha Sharma is amazing, the author of Dating Dr. Jill. The moment she got like the faintest whisper of us writing a Christmas novel centered around Christmas movies, she was like, you sit, listen. And so the Hallmark Channel has their own app, but Nisha has a spreadsheet. And her spreadsheet of like Hallmark Christmas movies is organized by like actor, trope, like every possible thing you could ever want. I think that you might be able to get it from her if you sign up for a newsletter or something. Like I think she did something like that. But so she was truly like our PhD advisor for this whole book. Like she really was like, this is where you start.
Yeah. And so she was really helpful too. And like, like here are Hallmark movie production times, here's post-production times, like just that kind of insider info. And obviously if you've read A Merry Little Meet Cute, Julie and I definitely conceived of a very Banana Balls version of a Hallmark movie. So we didn't feel like trapped by verisimilitude by any means, but it was still really useful to help us inform and, make it as realistic as possible while also making it, bang fest in Vermont. So
yeah.
I'm just picturing now Nisha like reading it and being like very into it, but also being like, that's not what I told them. Or like, just
it's possible.
Okay, Sarah, I know Dirty Snowball is like a hard act to follow. No one expects you to also have done something not safe for work. But do you remember, like, is there anything distinct that you went down when you were researching for Just Like Magic that really sticks out to you, or like a lovely little rabbit hole that happened?
I'm still trying to think of what a dirty snowball might be. Like, but
We'll tell you in the green room afterwards.
Yeah. Delete your memories. Like, just don't ever remember this happened.
That spreadsheet would have been really handy because Hall is obsessed with Hallmark movies. I think that's probably the most research that I've done is movies that, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly, Lacey Chabert has been in. So I had to read a lot about her because she's Hall's number one. He loves Lacey maybe as much as he loves Betty. He's very into her. And celebrities, I guess. The number of Macy's that might be in Colorado. 'Cause originally I had Betty had a beef with Macy's. And then my editor's like, there would not be a Macy's in this tiny town. And I clung to it. I'm like, well, maybe in this one there would be. Like, there's only 2,000 people who live there, but that's okay. They got a Macy's because it fits my aesthetic. I just really wanted her to hate Macy's, and I don't know why. But I changed that to a Chip and Joanna Gaines store that I made up.
Which was a good time. I liked that view. I liked that view.
Yeah, like a Hallmark research, I guess.
Yeah. Wow. Now you know that this exists. Just if you wanted to, bless us with another holiday one, like, I feel if you need Hallmark, we just need to call it Nisha. I wish this was like, You Want to Be a Millionaire, where you could just like call up a friend and just like see if Nisha like answers your phone call.
I have been making kind of a rough spreadsheet on the Hallmark movies I've watched so far, the ones that start with people cheating. Because the woman like is always engaged to some guy in the city, and then she goes to a small town, and then she falls in love, and there's so much emotional cheating, and sometimes they even kiss, and it's like not a thing ever. And then for like everything else is so wholesome about it, but there's always cheating as a plot device in these movies. I'm like, I'm going to start making a list of all of them, and I don't, just something to do. I have right now in one of my tabs, it's called Cheating in Hallmark Movies, all caps. That's the name of it.
I think your next book needs to be about one of these big city fiancés who gets cheated on by his fiancée in some small town. And then he's like, that's like at the beginning of the book. And he's like, well, what do I do now? Never date a girl from a small town again, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, like his big flaw is that he wants money.
Yeah.
Guess when we got Wall Street friends.
Yeah, his big flaw is he doesn't know what a half-off app is. Like, okay, we are almost out of time. So I do want to make sure that we get to our this or that's, because I imagine these might be fun to hear your answers. So I'm just going to give you, it's only a couple this or that's and then one like overarching question. And the only rule is that if you don't like one of the two options I've given you, you just need to supply your own third option. We're very open to that third option. So the first thing is, are you a cider person or a mulled wine person?
Oh, I think cider for sure, because you can put whiskey in cider.
Yeah, you can. Cider.
Hot chocolate.
Did you say hot chocolate?
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me. I thought of that might be your option when I was building this list, just based off of Hall's real affinity and love for hot chocolate. I was like, that might run pretty deep. Okay. If you're talking about baking cookies, like if you are somebody who, I know so many people do like their holiday roundup of cookies, right?
Mhm.
Gingerbread people or like cut out sugar cookies?
I am a gingerbread person. Like every year we make gingerbread. So like we have a whole tradition around it. But I do also believe that sugar cookies are God's mistakes. And so that no one should make them or eat them. So I have I'm very anti-sugar cookie.
She is. It's like saying this for like the last 5 years. My answer would have to be whatever cookies someone else makes for me. Because I don't really care to be in the kitchen at all. I like watching my lady friends be in the kitchen, like Sierra Simone, who's actually going to make me gingerbread like in 2 weeks or something.
Yes.
So I'm excited.
We're doing the gingerbread, the annual gingerbread, but with Julie this year.
Mm-hmm.
Look at you getting in on that. Wow. Special treatment. Lindsay Lohan, Dula, and gingerbread.
I know.
Incredible. Sarah.
I like God's mistakes. But
So are you going to be here for sugar?
You're wrong, but I forgive
could
you.
go a third way, I want more than anything, and I think about this a ridiculous amount, even in like when it's not seasonal. Toll House lumps of coal cookies that I cannot find anywhere. And I've like tried contacting the company. I'm like, where are they at? Can you bring them back to me? I've only had them once, and they're all I think about is like 3 years ago I had them.
Have they ever responded to you?
No.
What are they? Are they chocolate cookies?
They're chocolate cookies, and I don't know. Maybe I was just really hungry when I ate them, but they just hit different, and I think about them a lot.
What if they were just their chocolate chip cookies, like rebranded for the season?
They
Is
were
this
like
something we've considered?
they were like a dark cocoa. I don't know. It was magic.
Ooh, that does sound good.
Yes.
I feel like I want to go after Toll House and like maybe if we all flood them with this question, they'll respond to like somebody.
Yeah.
Peer pressure.
Toll House, give us the cookies or else we'll cancel you.
We'll find something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sarah, I'm glad you stuck up for the sugar cookies. People in the comments, someone said specifically put some respect, all caps, on sugar cookies name. So there was some feelings, Sierra.
I shan't.
He also says this about, is it oatmeal raisin cookies too?
I mean, I don't even talk about oatmeal raisin cookies because they don't exist. I mean, like, who is bringing oatmeal raisin into my life? No one.
I just want you to know this is the same human being that loves Snackwell cookies and developed like a real like chip on her shoulder when they changed the recipe to add more marshmallow.
Oh, it's not the same anymore.
Her taste buds are not to be trusted in this case.
No one likes oatmeal raisin. I can't, like, no one likes it. Is there an oatmeal raisin lobby out there?
Is there a mute button on her right now? Or
I also, you can add this to the list. I don't like snickerdoodle cookies. Okay, I'm done.
I love snickerdoodles.
I love a snickerdoodle. What?
It's the same as a sugar cookie. What is there to
yeah,
like?
it's cinnamon.
Not.
Okay.
All right.
The cinnamon
cookie
in a
war of
snickerdoodle
2022.
is like when someone cracks fresh pepper over your salad. Like, it's not a real flavor. You can't taste it. Julie
I'll
knows
give
when
you
I get like
oatmeal
this, there's
raisin.
no
That's not a
arguing.
cookie, but snickerdoodles are the bomb.
You can
Well,
have them. I'll give mine to you guys.
Stephanie, we might need the next question before she talks herself into a bigger hole.
I know. I would. Yeah. Do we need to? I was just saying. Someone just commented, "Cancel culture is coming for you because you came for the snickerdoodles." So yeah, she's people over the edge over there. There is an oatmeal raisin lobby. If you were wondering about it, Sierra, it does exist. I'm looking at them.
Please. Haven't you heard of chocolate?
Have you heard of these Toll House lump of coal cookies? They're incredible. Okay, almost done. Are you into, obviously, Hallmark movies? We've talked about them, but are you into like holiday rom-coms or are you into like animated holiday classics?
I'm indiscriminate when it comes to like holiday media. The less believable, the better.
Obviously. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm a rom-com girl myself.
He says this is someone who's been watching holiday movies for 3 years. Like,
I know. My very first one was The Christmas Prince on Netflix. Like the year it came out was at 2017. That was the first Christmas movie I ever saw. I was like, this is great.
she also believes that
This is no
good
sugar cookie.
movies,
This is fabulous.
she believes that no good movies were made before Jurassic Park.
Mhm.
Outside of
Except for Tremors, which is objectively a perfect movie. But that's it.
Meryl Streep has been making movies since the 70s. I need you to reconsider.
What movies? Here's the thing: is that people are like, there's so many great old movies, and then they're like, you should see the Poseidon Adventure or something. And I can't.
She's just here to shock us. Like,
A lot of the old ones are really boring, though. I will say that.
that's true.
Thank you.
But not all of them.
But a lot of them are.
Stephanie is. I can't tell if Stephanie's camera is frozen or if she's just that.
She's just not.
I'm like processing and just, you know what? I'm taking it all in. We love opinions. And I think what I'm really actually processing right now is that, like, Sierra, I think something that people can speak to is that I love having a hot take, like, and I love having a controversial hot take. And I just feel like you've really, like, made me feel small about my controversial hot take. Like,
I have big hot take energy, let me say. But only about like two things, and it's like cookies and like when the sound production of movies meets my standards, which was like 1992.
hilarious. Okay.
You watched The Room before The Room was. Anyways, okay, we're getting off track now. Sorry.
It was made after Tremors. That's a good movie.
Okay.
What year did Tremors come out? Okay. I'm not, no, this is, sorry. We can, you just like insulted my entire Meryl Streep canon before 1992, which is like objective. I know Cassie is texting me about time and I hear her. I hear you, Cassie. I'm taking in these things. Okay. This is incredible.
It's like done. They've already gone.
Yeah. They've gone home.
Oh my gosh. No, they've not gone home. No one has gone home. We're going to go have wonderful discussions.
I gotta say,
yes, Sarah.
The best holiday movie is the one on Netflix about the guy who comes from the medieval times to the present. Because all the plot holes is just bananas. He doesn't question anything. I love it. I just had to say that.
Night Before Christmas, Night with a K.
Yeah,
it's a fabulous time. Watch it with a friend, maybe like a glass of wine, and you'll have the best evening you've had in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, there is agreement for that in the chat. Lots of, okay. So we've ended on a high note. That's like the perfect, what do you want from me right now? Now they're coming into the office. It's all fine.
An intervention right now.
Yeah. They're just like, yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, we all have some things to go do. The night before Christmas, oh yes, someone says Uncle Ray Ray says that's a wrap, ladies. Okay, we're not getting direction from everybody. Okay, final huge shout out to everyone watching and dealing with us over the past hour and 11 minutes that we've been on air. Enormous thank you to the three of you for coming on and talking with us tonight. Thank you so much for bringing these incredible books into the world and giving us just the best holiday season ever. Anything that you all want to say before we end this live?
I'm gonna go get on Google and see what that
Incognito tab.
I feel like
house.
Yes.
At your own risk. But thank you so much for having us.
This was so much fun, despite Sierra showing the least appetizing parts of her personality.
I like that it wasn't a dirty snowball that did it. It was sugar cookies.
It was sugar cookies. I actually think it might be a good thing we're not there in person because there might be like an angry mob waiting for you with the sugar cookies.
Like pitchforks made out of frosting.
Yeah. But thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you so much. It was so fun to hang out with you too. This was a great time. Thank you to everyone who read the book and came out, and I hope you have a really fantastic holiday.
Yeah. It was so fun to meet all of you.
Thank you so much. Okay, we will. We're all going to smile pretty so the camera gives us a great like ending clip now, and we'll see everybody I don't know when we'll see everybody, but sometime soon, or maybe we'll see you in St. Louis. I just realized not everyone watching is necessarily located in St. Louis. So, also, I didn't say we can get you these books. Listen, some of these books are hard to get. Some of them have gone into reprint. We bought early. So if you are like sad and don't have a copy, we do know how to use the mail if you're not in St. Louis, and we can get these books to you. That's the final thing I'll say. Thank you so much, everybody. We're out.